What is up, Beaver community? My name is Lucas,
And I'm Megan.
and in this week's weekly video, we interviewed Mrs. Agnew about the up-and-coming Beaver Dam apparel store. We're here with Miss Agnew, owner of the Beaver Local Apparel Store. Miss Agnew, what is the apparel store?
Okay, so my textile arts and manufacturing class has started a school store, and we have been selling shirts outside of my classroom in H136 for the last year, but we are expanding some of our designs and clothing that we have. We're also going to be having lanyards and some towels, some rally towels for games, and some different things like that.
Where can I find these clothes?
Okay, so again, I'll have them outside my room on display. I kind of change it up every day. You can always come in and ask me, and we can get you a design and a color that you would like. So it's kind of like a design your own. So we have different designs, and you can kind of mix and match them within the apparel that we have. And then we're also going to be starting here in a few weeks, setting up at lunchtime 1 day a week.
All right, and how much will one of these t-shirts cost, or any of the other ones?
Okay, so our t-shirts, our regular t-shirts are going to be $10. Anything that's long sleeve or 3/4 sleeve is $15. We also have crew necks that are going to be $20, and our hoodies are $25. And then we'll have lanyards for $5. The towels will be $5, and then we'll have some other smaller items like pens and pencils that will be cheaper than that.
All right, and let's pan to our example over
Christian.
here.
Modeling some of the shirts.
Very nice design, very nice fit, really highlights the muscles, as you can see. Great shirt. We also interviewed students and teachers with Q&A questions with a long chain that eventually led back to Mr. Blum. Mr. Blum,
Yes.
which student is the biggest procrastinator?
I would have to say Tori Druschel.
Tori, how do you feel that Mr. Blum said you were the biggest procrastinator in the whole world?
It's probably true.
Tori, which teacher gives the most homework?
Probably Mr. McCullough.
Mr. McCullough, how do you feel that Tori Druschel said you give the most homework?
Not good.
All right, which student does the most problems of the week in your class?
I would have to say Zach Redmond.
Thank you.
Mr. McCullough said you are the student that does the most problems of the week.
Really?
Yeah. Zach, which teacher is the most lenient with late work?
Mrs. Miller.
I'm prepared.
How do you feel that Zach Redmond said you were the most lenient teacher when it comes to late work?
I probably am.
Student sleeps the most in class.
Sorry,
Austin Klein. I'm in class. Really, Braxton?
Austin, how do you feel that Miss Miller said you sleep the most in class?
Feels great. Love having that sleep.
Which teacher gives the least amount of homework?
Miss
How do you
Miller.
feel that Austin Klein said you give the least amount of homework?
I do not like to give homework.
Which student interrupts the most?
Austin Klein.
Austin, how do you feel that Mrs. Miller said you interrupt the most?
She's probably right.
Austin, which teacher do you think is the smartest here at Beaver Local?
Ooh. Let's go with Miss Hendricks.
Mrs. Hendricks, how do you feel that Austin Klein said you're the smartest teacher in the school?
I feel very honored. Thank you, Austin.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Hendricks, which student do you see the most throughout the day?
That would be Miss Jalen Moore.
How do you feel that Miss Hendricks said she sees you the most?
Oh, she does.
Which teacher do you think has the most school spirit?
Show rate.
Senora Rhodes. How do you feel that Jalen Moore said you have the most school spirit?
I'm honored. Oh my gosh.
Who do you think the quietest student is?
Randallin.
Randallin. How do you feel that Senora Rhodes said you're the quietest student? Which teacher takes the longest to put in grades? How do you feel that Randallin Morris said you're the slowest to put in grades? Which student has the most school spirit?
Chaz? Let's pick Chaz. He's right next door.
Miss Miller said you have the most school spirit. Which teacher do you think talks the most?
Talks most? Oh, it has to be Mrs. Jones.
Since Miss Jones isn't
Me
here,
again.
Since Miss Jones isn't here, how do you feel? Do you agree that she talks the most out of all the teachers?
My goodness, yes. I can never get her to shut up.
What student do you think talks the most?
Are you looking at
Can you pan the camera right over here? Allie, how do you feel that Miss Miller said that you talk the most?
I hate to say it, but it's accurate.
Which teacher do people think is mean but is actually really nice?
Mr. Sosonsky.
Mr. Sosonsky, how do you feel that Allie Pickering said that you're actually a nice teacher even though people think you're mean?
Pretty surprising because I am a mean teacher.
What student never pays attention in class?
Taylor Johnston.
How do you feel that Mr. Sosonsky said you never pay attention in class?
That's not true.
Which teacher do you think is never on topic?
Mr. Carr.
How do you feel that Taylor Johnston said you are never on topic when teaching?
He may be right.
Mr. Carr, which student asks the most questions?
Josh Eisenhardt.
How do you feel that Mr. Carr said you ask the most questions?
I feel honored he thinks I'm an engaged student in his class.
What teacher gives out the most attentions?
Miss Hamilton.
How do you feel that Josh Eisenhart said you give the most attentions?
Well, Josh Eisenhart has never had a detention, but it's not a real detention. It is a lunch detention in my room. So yes, I guess apparently I do give the most lunch detentions.
Which student do you think gets the most attentions? Attentions to?
Would you say like who talks the most?
Just sure.
This Cole Jarvis, for sure.
How do you feel that Miss Hamilton said you get the most attentions?
I get the most attention. What?
He doesn't get the most attention.
don't
He just talks the most.
She said you talk the most.
I actually feel like this is completely untrue, and I feel like I actually talk the least in this entire class. We have people like Allie, and people like Emma, and people like Miss Hamilton who talk substantially more than I do. And it's all just a bunch of rabble, jabble, rambling. She's just going on and on. And honestly,
You seem to be talking a lot.
did you ask me the question or not? Next question.
Which class do you find the most boring?
Props and stats.
How do you feel that Cole Jarvis said you have the most boring class?
I mean, it happens, but I gotta do my job and I gotta follow the standards, and I know it sucks, but that's what they gotta do.
Which student has the worst handwriting?
Reese Davis.
How do you feel that Mr. Smith said you have the worst handwriting?
I don't mind. I do.
Who's the happiest teacher at Beaver Local?
That's okay.
How do you feel that Reese Davis said you were the happiest teacher at Beaver Local?
I mean, I'm pretty bubbly, so that makes sense.
Which student is the biggest hall roamer?
The biggest hall roamer? Who do I always see in the halls? Levi Rittiger.
Levi, how do you feel that Mrs. K said you're the biggest hall roamer?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess she's right.
Which teacher is the most involved in sports?
I'd have to say Plum.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Was that funny?